There's a beautiful stillness that lives within each of us, a quiet, sacred space that exists beyond worry, beyond noise, beyond fear. It is the space where all creation begins. When we release the clutter of our thoughts and surrender the weight of our overthinking, we open a divine doorway, and through that doorway, the universe flows. The mind is a garden, not a prison. It may not always feel that way, especially when our thoughts are loud, heavy, and real. But at its very essence, the mind is a sacred, fertile space, designed not to trap us, but to nurture our growth. Like a garden, it requires care, attention, and love. And just like any beautiful landscape, it can become overrun with weeds if neglected. But here's the truth. We always hold the power to tend to it, to clear away what no longer serves us, and to plant new seeds that will blossom into a life of peace, purpose, and joy. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that our thoughts are who we are, that the inner critic we hear is our true voice, that the past must be replayed and the future must be feared. But that belief is like putting bars around the limitless sky of your own being. Your thoughts are not your prison guards. They are just passing clouds. And you are not the prisoner. You are the gardener. You get to choose what stays, what grows, and what goes. When we begin to see our mind as a garden, we understand the importance of what we feed it. Negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, shame, guilt. These are weeds. They may have taken root from childhood, society, past pain, or repeated experiences, but they do not belong in your garden. You do not have to entertain every thought that crosses your mind. You are allowed to question it. You are allowed to release it. You are allowed to replace it with something kinder, something truer, something more loving. This is not about toxic positivity or pretending that challenges don't exist. Life brings storms, it brings changes, and sometimes it brings seasons of stillness where it seems like nothing is blooming. That's okay. Even the richest soil needs rest. Even the strongest trees lose their leaves. The garden of your mind is not meant to be perfect, just tended with patience and love. And every time you speak kindly to yourself, every time you choose hope over fear, every time you forgive yourself, you're planting a new seed. And what happens when we nurture these seeds? Miracles. Not always in the form of sudden change, but in quiet, steady growth. We begin to notice peace where there used to be panic. We start choosing ourselves in situations where we once abandoned our worth. We stop reacting from old wounds and start responding from healed places. That is the beauty of a mind tended with love. It becomes a safe space, a sanctuary, a home. There is also great freedom in understanding that we are not obligated to believe every thought that passes through our minds. The mind will sometimes echo voices from the past, voices that told us we weren't enough, that we had to earn love, that we had to be perfect to be accepted. But those voices are echoes, not truth. They are old programming, not your essence. Your essence is pure. Your truth is radiant. Your worth is not something you have to prove. It is something you were born with. When we view the mind as a prison, we feel trapped, we feel powerless, we feel small and confined. But when we see it as a garden, we realize that every moment is a chance to cultivate something new. A moment of meditation, a moment of gratitude, a moment of stillness. These are like watering the soil. A moment of kindness toward ourselves is like sunshine breaking through the clouds. And even if we've neglected our inner garden for years, it's never too late to begin again. And the soil is always fertile for change. The transformation begins the moment you decide that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer. You are the gentle, wise soul who chooses what grows. And when you start planting thoughts of compassion, beliefs of empowerment, and intentions rooted in love, the entire landscape of your inner world begins to shift. You walk differently, you speak differently, you attract differently. Because the garden you've grown within you begins to reflect in the world around you. So today, take a deep breath. Exhale the noise. Let go of the idea that you're stuck, that you're broken, or that you're not enough. None of that is true. You are enough right now as you are. You have the power to begin again, to pull out the weeds and to plant something new. Let your mind be your sanctuary. Let it be your peaceful garden. And as you tend to it daily, with love and intention, you'll discover that it was never a prison at all. It was always a place waiting to bloom. In a world that constantly tells us to go faster, do more, and stay busy, stillness can feel almost rebellious. But stillness is not laziness, it is not absence, it is not weakness. Stillness is presence, stillness is power. It is the sacred space between thoughts where wisdom lives, where healing begins, and where truth rises gently to the surface of your awareness. When you learn to embrace stillness, you step into your true power, the power that doesn't shout or force, but quietly realigns you with who you really are. So many people chase answers, running from one task to the next, one goal to the next, one person to the next, all while feeling disconnected from themselves. They believe the answers lie out there, somewhere in the noise. But the truth is, your most important answers, the ones that lead to peace, clarity, purpose, and love, will never be found in the noise. They will be found in the silence. In the quiet spaces where you are not trying to control, perform, or explain, just being. Stillness is the soft voice of the soul. And the soul does not compete with the loudness of the world. It whispers, it invites. It waits for you to slow down, to pause, to listen. When you give yourself permission to stop doing and start being, you access a deep well of inner guidance. You begin to remember who you are underneath the roles, the obligations, and the expectation. You realize that your worth has never been based on how productive you are, how many things you achieve, or how hard you hustle. Your worth is inherent, and stillness helps you remember that. When you allow yourself to sit in stillness, even for a few minutes each day, you begin to create space within. Space is where transformation happens. In space, your nervous system resets, your mind begins to unclench, your heart starts to breathe again. In this quiet space, your body feels safe. And when the body feels safe, it heals. When the heart feels safe, it opens. When the mind feels safe, it releases old thoughts and welcomes new ones. You don't need hours of silence or a perfect meditation cushion to access the power of stillness. Sometimes it's as simple as pausing between one breath and the next. As simple as watching a sunset without needing to capture it. As simple as sipping tea slowly with both hands wrapped around the cup, doing nothing else. These tiny moments of stillness reconnect you with your inner world, the place where peace has always existed, waiting patiently for your return. Stillness is also the key to emotional clarity. When you're constantly moving, constantly reacting, it becomes hard to tell which emotions are yours and which are borrowed from others. But when you sit in stillness, you can hear your true feelings. You can let them rise without judgment, like waves returning to shore. You can greet them with compassion, understanding that every emotion is a message, not a mistake. Stillness teaches you to respond, not react, to observe, not absorb, to witness without being swept away. In stillness, your energy is not scattered, it is centered. You stop leaking your power into things you can't control. You stop chasing validation from people who can't see your light. You stop fearing the unknown and start trusting the unfolding. You begin to live from a place of alignment rather than resistance. And life starts to meet you with more ease, more grace, and more synchronicity. The most beautiful part of stillness is that it reminds you that you are already enough. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to prove your value through endless striving. You don't have to fight to be seen. The universe sees you. Your soul sees you. And when you sit in stillness, you begin to see yourself more clearly too. Not as a role, not as a task list, not as a struggle, but as a divine expression of life itself. Stillness is not empty. It is full, full of insight, full of wisdom, full of potential. It is where the noise of the world dissolves and the truth of your being rises. When you honor stillness, you begin to hear your intuition more clearly. You begin to trust it. You begin to walk through life with a quiet, grounded confidence that cannot be shaken by circumstances. So the next time the world tells you to keep going, to keep pushing, to never pause, remember this: your power lies in your pause. Your strength lies in your stillness. The more you learn to sit with yourself, the more you remember that you are not just enough. You are whole. You are guided. You are powerful beyond measure. Stillness is not a place you escape to. It is a place you return to. It is your true home. And the more you visit that sacred space within you, the more you carry its peace with you into every room, every relationship, and every decision. In stillness, you meet yourself. And that meeting will change everything. There is a part of us that longs to control our plans, our people, our outcomes, and even our emotions. We believe that if we just hold tightly enough, try hard enough, think long enough, we can shape everything exactly how we want it. And yet, the more we cling, the more life seems to resist. We tighten our grip in fear, but life is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be lived, experienced, and allowed to unfold with grace. When we release control, we invite the flow of the universe to carry us to places far better than we ever imagined. Control is born from fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of being hurt, fear of failure, fear of things falling apart. But the truth is, the more we try to control, the more we block the very blessings we seek. Our need to control becomes a wall, a resistance to life's natural rhythm. It says, I don't trust. It says, I don't believe I'll be okay unless I'm managing every detail. But healing begins the moment we whisper, I let go. And that whisper, though soft, is powerful enough to move mountains. And letting go is not about giving up. It is not about being passive or indifferent. It is about releasing attachment to how things must be and opening up to how things could be. It is about surrendering the illusion that we know what's best in every moment. It's trusting that something greater, wiser, and more loving than our limited mind is guiding the process of our life. When we stop trying to force doors open, we begin to notice the ones that open effortlessly. When you release control, you begin to live in harmony with the present moment. You stop arguing with reality. You stop pushing against the current. And suddenly you feel lighter, freer, more at peace. Things may not go exactly as planned, but you begin to see that sometimes they go better than planned. Opportunities arise that you didn't expect. People show up who feel like soul reminders. Ideas flow in without pressure or effort. This is the beauty of living in flow. It feels natural. It feels supported. It feels aligned. Releasing control does not mean you have no direction. It simply means that you no longer need to obsess over the how. You set your intentions, you hold your vision with clarity, and then you step back and allow the process to unfold. You trust in divine timing. You trust in your own resilience. And most importantly, you trust that you are always being led, even when the path seems unclear. Especially then, so many of our struggles come from trying to micromanage life. We want the relationship to look a certain way. We want the job to happen by a specific date. We want people to behave how we think they should. And when things don't go our way, we feel anxious, defeated, and disappointed. But what if we're being redirected, not rejected? What if letting go of control is what actually allows our highest good to reach us? To release control is to say, I trust that I am exactly where I need to be. I trust that what is for me will not miss me. I trust that I don't need to have all the answers right now. And in that space of surrender, miracles begin to move. The energy you once spent worrying is now free to create, to receive, to enjoy. You begin to show up in life with a calm heart and an open mind, knowing that you are safe, held, and guided. The flow of life is always available to you. It's not something you need to chase. It's something you allow. But to receive that flow, you must make space for it. And that space is created when you release the need to control, when you stop resisting change, when you stop replaying the past, when you stop overthinking the future. Flow lives in the present moment. It lives in trust. It lives in surrender. Your job is not to control the ocean. Your job is to trust the tide, to swim when it calls you forward, to rest when it pulls you inward, to let go when it's time, and to open your hands wide enough to receive what is already trying to reach you. So breathe deeply now. Relax your shoulders, soften your thoughts. You don't need to hold it all together. You were never meant to. The universe is not asking you to struggle. It is inviting you to trust, to release, to allow. And as you do, you'll discover that life flows more beautifully when you stop trying to force it. The more you let go, the more everything begins to come together, not through pressure, but through peace. You are not alone. You are deeply supported. Let go and let the flow carry you home. There is a quiet truth that brings peace to the soul. You are not here to hold everything inside. You are not a container meant to store pain, worries, dreams, or energy until you overflow. You are a channel, an open vessel through which love, wisdom, healing, and inspiration can flow. Life was never meant to be grasped and hoarded. It was meant to be received, experienced, and released. Like the river that moves effortlessly, like the wind that passes through the trees, you too are meant to let life flow through you. So often we feel the need to contain it all. We bottle up emotions. We store away our fears. We hold on tightly to people, stories, and versions of ourselves that no longer fit. We even cling to joy as if it might disappear. But what we don't realize is that the moment we become attached to holding anything too tightly, we begin to block the flow of energy within us. We start to feel stuck, heavy, burdened. And life, which was once fluid and alive, begins to feel stagnant. When you begin to understand that you are a channel, something beautiful begins to happen. You stop resisting emotions. You allow yourself to feel them fully, knowing they are meant to move through you, not stay in you. You don't need to fear sadness or anger or grief. You don't need to suppress joy or excitement or wonder. Every feeling that arises is a messenger. It comes, it teaches, and when acknowledged with love, it moves on. Just like a passing cloud, just like a breeze on your skin, let it flow, let it go. Being a channel means you don't have to carry the weight of the world. You are not responsible for fixing everyone, for controlling outcomes, or for holding on to every lesson forever. You can share love without depleting yourself. You can offer kindness without expecting anything in return. You can let life move through you with ease. You are not a storage unit for pain or expectation. You are a sacred river of energy, constantly renewing, constantly replenishing, constantly returning to peace. This truth applies to abundance as well. When you see yourself as a container, you may operate from scarcity, thinking you must gather and hold on to resources, money, or opportunities before they vanish. But when you realize that you are a channel for abundance, you begin to trust the endless flow of the universe. You no longer fear lack. You know that what you give returns. You understand that the more you allow abundance to move through you by giving, sharing, creating, the more it flows to you. You become a magnet, not by hoarding, but by opening. You also become a clearer channel for divine guidance. When your heart is open and your mind is still, you begin to receive insights that you didn't force, clarity that you didn't chase. Ideas flow in, words come through, and your intuition becomes stronger. You begin to speak from a deeper place, love from a purer space, and act with greater intention. You are no longer simply reacting to life, you are co-creating it with grace. Being a channel also means that you allow relationships to breathe. You release the need to control others or cling to them out of fear. You become a safe space where others can come and go with love, knowing that your peace isn't dependent on anyone staying or behaving a certain way. You love freely, you bless those who leave, and you welcome those who return. Nothing is forced. Everything is allowed to flow. You are not meant to be drained. You are not meant to be full of unspoken words or unexpressed truths. Speak, release, create, forgive. Let it move through you. The energy of life is not yours to keep. It is yours to circulate. Just as the body thrives when breath flows freely, your spirit thrives when love, truth, and emotion move openly. So take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I holding onto that needs to be released? What am I trying to contain that longs to be set free? What would happen if I stopped grasping and started allowing? When you step into the role of a channel, you stop fearing change, you stop resisting endings, you know that what leaves creates space for what's next. You begin to trust the cycles. You begin to flow with life instead of fighting it. And in that surrender, you find your true strength, not in holding, but in releasing. You were never meant to be a container of pain, pressure, or perfection. You were meant to be a living, breathing current of life itself. Let it flow, let it heal, let it move through you. And in doing so, you will return to your most natural, radiant, and peaceful state. There is a language far older than words, a gentle voice that cannot be heard with the ears, only with the heart. It does not shout, it does not rush, and it does not force. It whispers in the spaces between thoughts. It moves in the pauses. It lives in the stillness. The universe speaks in silence, and when we learn to become still enough to listen, the guidance we've been longing for begins to rise gently within us. In a world that praises noise and celebrates busyness, silence has become a stranger to many. We fill every empty moment with distractions, afraid of what might surface in the quiet. We scroll, we talk, we plan, we chase. But beneath the noise, beneath the endless doing, there is a space within each of us that holds the deepest wisdom. And that space can only be accessed in silence. The universe is always communicating, always guiding, always loving, but it does not compete with the clamor of the mind. It will not force its way into your awareness. It waits patiently, lovingly, until you are ready to slow down, to be still, and to return home to yourself. And when you do, the answers you've been seeking begin to unfold with grace. Silence is not empty. It is full of clarity, full of messages, full of divine intelligence. When you sit in silence, you make room for truth to rise. You begin to feel your connection to all that is. You start to remember who you are beyond the labels, beyond the roles, beyond the stories. You realize that you are not separate from the universe, you are a part of it, you are made of it, and in that knowing, you find peace. Many people search for signs, waiting for the universe to speak through loud miracles or external events. But the clearest signs often come in the quietest moments, a calm that washes over you for no reason, a gentle nudge in your heart, a sudden clarity that seems to come out of nowhere. These are the whispers of the universe. These are the guideposts that lead you forward, not through force, but through inner knowing. When you make space for silence, you make space for healing. The body relaxes, the mind softens, the heart opens. You begin to hear your own soul again, the part of you that always knows what you need. You may not receive a detailed plan or a loud declaration, but you'll feel the next step. You'll feel what's true. You'll feel what's ready to be released. This is how the universe speaks, with gentle precision, with loving awareness, and with perfect timing. In silence, you are reminded that you don't need to strive so hard, that you don't need to have all the answers right now, that being is just as sacred as doing. You learn that peace isn't something to chase, it's something to return to, something that already exists within you, waiting patiently beneath the noise. Even nature understands the power of silence. The trees do not force their growth. The sun does not scream to shine. The moon does not rush her cycle. All of creation honors silence as part of the rhythm of life. And so should we. Silence is not absence, it is presence. It is a sacred space where the soul breathes. You don't need to go far to find silence. You don't need to retreat to a mountain or sit in hours of meditation. You only need to turn inward, to take a deep breath, to close your eyes, to pause. And in that moment, you create a doorway to something deeper, something real, something eternal. The more you practice listening in the silence, the more connected you become, not just to the universe, but to your own power. You will begin to trust yourself more. You will begin to see that intuition is not a rare gift, but a natural state that reveals itself when the mind quiets. You will notice that what once seemed like coincidences are actually divine alignments, that what once felt confusing now carries clarity, and that what once seemed distant, the love, the healing, the guidance, is already within you. So allow yourself the gift of silence, not just once in a while, but often. Make it a sacred part of your life. Step away from the noise when you need to. Sit with yourself. Listen without expectation. Breathe, receive. And know that in that sacred quiet, the universe is holding you, speaking to you, guiding you gently home. There is wisdom waiting in the stillness. There is comfort in the silence. There is a language beyond words, and it speaks only to the open heart. You do not need to chase it. You only need to become still enough to hear it. For in the silence, you are never alone. You are in the presence of the divine. Peace isn't something you have to seek. It isn't lost, hidden, or out there in some distant place. It is not a reward you earn after working hard enough or fixing every flaw. Peace is already within you. It always has been. But it can only be experienced when you allow it, when you stop resisting, when you stop running, when you let go of the idea that it must be found. Peace is not a destination. It is a permission, a gentle yes to the present moment. Most of us spend our lives chasing peace. We think it will come once everything is perfect, when the relationship heals, when the bills are paid, when the past is resolved, when our body looks different, when we finally succeed. But this idea keeps peace just out of reach, because there is always something else, another mountain to climb, another wound to tend, another step to take. And so we wait. We postpone our inner calm, not realizing it has been quietly waiting on us. You don't need to chase peace. You need to allow it. Right here, right now. Not because everything is resolved, but because you choose to stop fighting. You choose to soften. You choose to stop arguing with what is. The moment you stop saying this shouldn't be happening, and instead breathe into this is happening, and I can still choose peace, you reclaim your power. You take your hands off the wheel of control and let your soul take the lead. Peace doesn't require everything outside of you to change. It requires everything inside you to return to stillness. That stillness isn't far away. It's behind the thoughts, beneath the noise, underneath the layers of fear. It is the quiet knowing that you are safe, guided, and loved even in the middle of the unknown. It is the calm that holds you when life feels uncertain. It is the gentle reminder that you are not here to fix everything. You are here to feel everything and release what no longer serves. You allow peace when you stop trying to force outcomes, when you stop clinging to old wounds, when you forgive, not to excuse, but to set yourself free, when you release the need to be right, when you give yourself permission to rest. Peace enters when you stop resisting your own heart, when you listen to your inner voice instead of the world's noise, when you realize you don't have to become anyone else to be worthy of calm. You just have to be fully present as you are. Think of peace like the sky. It's always there, even on cloudy days, even when storms come. The clouds are just temporary. The storm is just passing. But the sky remains vast, open, and untouched. Peace is the same. It's the constant presence beneath the surface of your life. And it becomes visible the moment you stop identifying with the clouds, the moment you stop thinking, I am this fear or I am this pain, and instead remember, I am the one who observes. I am the one who allows. This shift is not something you do once. It is a practice, a sacred returning. Every time you catch yourself spiraling in thought, you come back. Every time you feel tension rise, you breathe. Every time life pulls you into chaos, you gently choose to soften again. Not because the world changes, but because you change how you meet it. You begin to ask yourself gentle questions. What if peace doesn't come from things going right, but from me being okay even when they don't? What if I can hold space for discomfort without making it mean I'm broken? What if I can allow peace even in grief, even in uncertainty, even in the unknown? And in that space, something magical happens. Your nervous system calms, your shoulders drop, your breath deepens. You begin to hear the whisper of your soul again, the one that says, you are held, you are safe, you are doing enough. And that whisper is the beginning of true peace. Allowing peace does not mean pretending everything is okay. It means choosing not to abandon yourself no matter what. It means creating an inner sanctuary where you can always return. A soft place inside you that says, even now I can choose calm. Even now I can choose grace. You are allowed to have moments of quiet in the middle of chaos. You are allowed to exhale, to rest, to stop trying so hard. You are allowed to say, this is enough. You are allowed to be still. You do not have to earn peace. You simply have to stop resisting it. Let it in. Let it settle into your bones. Let it speak to the parts of you that are tired of fighting. Peace is not found by changing the world outside. It is allowed by changing the way you see it, by changing the way you hold yourself. You are the doorway. You are the permission. Peace has always been waiting. The only question is, will you let it in?